everyone, this is Rift, your friendly neighborhood weeb speaking, and welcome back to Terraria. In today's episode, I'm going to be kicking off hard mode and taking on the Queen Slime and the Destroyer. To begin with, I replaced the Deerclops relic on top of my base with a Wall of Flesh relic, and after this, I headed down into the elevator. The first things I wanted to get were spider armor and a spider staff. This would be my first somewhat okay hard mode gear. It didn't take long for me to find a spider nest and die, and I also noticed that the entire bottom of the elevator had been corrupted. I continued to very slowly kill spiders, which made my imps look absolutely useless, and I died multiple times in the process. Eventually, I was able to craft a full set of spider armor, and this allowed me to summon not just one, not just two, not just three, not just four, but 6 minions at the same time. That was pretty cool. But, my imps were still horrible, so I headed back down to gather enough materials to craft a spider staff. I met the wizard and spent more time killing spiders while also being harassed by every corruption enemy in the entire game. But now, I was able to craft a spider staff. This was my first hard mode summon weapon. I organized my chests, made a new food category because my potions chest was full, and gave away my net worth to the Goblin Tinkerer. I then died to a skeleton. I have genuinely never felt so weak in my life. I tried to teleport to the mushroom pylon I had placed towards the bottom of the elevator, but the game kept insisting that there weren't enough NPCs there. Sure enough, everything was corrupted all the way down to hell. The reason I was in hell was because I wanted 2 special items from the Wall of Flesh. One was a summoner emblem and the other was a whip called the Firecracker. After running across hell, I summoned the Wall of Flesh and killed him, and managed to get the summoner emblem, but unfortunately no firecracker. But the summoner emblem was extremely useful as it increased my summon damage by 15%. I then fought the Wall of Flesh again, and I didn't get the firecracker. So I fought him again, and I didn't get the firecracker again. So I got bored and paid another visit to the Goblin Tinkerer to reforge my summoner emblem. I then decided I'd wasted too much time, so I was going to head to the corruption. On the way there, I found that the gigantic hole I dug was completely useless and I'd completely wasted my time on it. Anyway, I started destroying demon altars and my world was blessed with some hard mode ores. After destroying as many demon altars as I could find and dying to a wraith, I got some spelunker potions and decided to go mining. Since I was a summoner, I didn't really need palladium, orichalcum, or titanium armor or weapons. All I really needed was an orichalcum anvil and a titanium forge and pickaxe. So after mining a whole bunch of palladium, I crafted a palladium pickaxe. I used the pickaxe to mine a whole bunch of orichalcum, made an anvil, mined more orichalcum, made an orichalcum pickaxe, used it to mine titanium, made a titanium forge, and a titanium pickaxe. I was now able to dig through the earth like a human tunnel bore. I spent even more of my hard-earned money reforging the pick, and then I decided to try and find the Hallow. I headed west for a bit, and I was able to find it, but I was interrupted by a notification that pirates were about to invade my base. I headed back and started fighting off the pirates, died again, and again, and again, and again, and yep, eventually I trapped myself in a small hole and let my spiders kill the pirates for me. I then died to the ghost of a captain, and a flying Dutchman spawned. This was a mini-boss, and it wouldn't despawn even if I killed all the pirates. But I found that using my slime mount, I was able to hop around on top of it pretty well, and it somehow managed to get stuck on the side of my house, so I continued to ride it and very slowly deal damage until it eventually died. And then I replaced the Wall of Flesh relic with a flying Dutchman relic. Then the traveling merchant showed up, and he was selling a cool looking crimson cloak, so I bought it, and it looked pretty nice in my opinion. I then dug a hole in the Hallow to visit the underground Hallow, collected some useless loot, and after that I bullied the Eye of Cthulhu. And now I felt pretty confident with my spider armor and staff, so I decided to attempt to kill the Queen Slime. After kiting the Queen Slime around for a bit, I died. And then I tried again, and this time I ran away too quickly and she despawned. After being abandoned by the Queen Slime mid-fight, I forgot the past by changing my hairstyle and got this elf-looking ponytail thing, which honestly, I thought looked pretty cool. I then headed back to the underground hollow to get more gelatin crystals to summon the Queen Slime again, and I died to a bat. I tried to fight her again, and died. And then I tried again, and died again. And it was pretty obvious that I was under-equipped, so after AFKing for a little bit, I decided to go fight the Wall of Flesh again. I managed to get another voodoo doll, and then I summoned him, and he killed me. I then decided to go pay a visit to the snow biome during a blizzard to hopefully get an ice golem to spawn. I trapped myself in a box and waited, but not a single ice golem was spawning. Eventually one did spawn, but yeah, it killed me. I continued to wander around the snow biome waiting for another one, and the deer clop spawned instead. And so I went back again and continued wandering around, and I managed to get a necklace which transformed me into a wolf. It was a little bit weird, but the wolf moved pretty quickly, which was nice, and I used it to continue wandering back and forth around the snow biome. I spent a long time running back and forth, and eventually another ice golem spawned, and I trapped it inside this weird looking cage and was able to kill it. After this, the Wall of Flesh felt so bad for killing me again that it spontaneously exploded, and I still didn't get the firecracker. Back in the underground hollow, I spent some time gathering souls of light, and then I died opening a dead man's chest. But now I was finally able to craft a decent whip, this being the cool whip, using souls and the frost core. The mechanic wasn't able to move in because her house was corrupted. So I reforged my cool whip, and then visited the jungle to buy a whole bunch of purification powder. I threw the powder around, hoping that it would fix the corrupted house, and sure enough, the mechanic was able to move back in. I then began digging out a trench around the house to prevent the corruption from spreading too close again. Once I was happy with the trench I dug, I decided it was time to try out my new whip by fighting the Queen Slime again. So I began to make my way over to the hollow to summon her. And, well, she killed me again, and again. I then wandered around in hell, waiting for more voodoo demons to spawn, and I also noticed that the corruption was spreading way too close to my base, so I bought a whole bunch of dynamite and blew a gigantic hole into the ground. I admired my work on the map for a little while, and then I thought maybe I could try taking on the destroyer, so I crafted a mechanical worm and went fishing for some very graded lordfish, but didn't catch any. But I reasoned that since the destroyer was so easy, I would be fine even without the potions, and decided to summon him anyway. The thing is, I forgot that Master Mode Destroyer is not easy. Then the mechanic's house somehow managed to get corrupted yet again, and now I was also extremely pissed off, so I destroyed everything, making sure that the corruption would never get close ever again. I then moved the mechanic back in, and I flew up into the sky, because I wanted some souls of flight by killing some wyverns. I was gonna craft a new set of wings, specifically frozen wings. I killed a wyvern, and then I went back down to the snow biome waiting for another ice golem. I got bored, so I fought another wyvern, and then I went back down to the snow biome again. This time an ice golem spawned. I killed it, but it didn't drop the item I wanted, so I waited around a little more. I managed to kill another one, and this time it dropped the ice feather I was waiting for. And I was able to craft a set of frozen wings. Now I could fly a lot higher, and this was going to be very useful for fighting the early hard mode bosses. I killed the Wall of Flesh again, and got no firecracker, so I tried to summon him again and didn't realize that the guide hadn't respawned, so I just wasted a voodoo doll. I was so frustrated that I quit the game. I came back and fought him again, and again, got this cool glowing goat mount, which moved very quickly, killed him again, and finally he dropped the firecracker. I then built a long platform on top of my arena, which would help me fight fast-moving bosses like the Queen Slime and the Twins, and then I went fishing, hoping that I would get an aglet to make some lightning boots. Unfortunately, I didn't really get much. I caught a tuna, I caught a trout, another trout, I spoke to the angler who wanted an eater of plankton, and I managed to get a pearlwood crate which had nothing except for tin and a bunch of other completely useless stuff. After spending a really long time fishing, I mean a really long time, I headed home and decided to combine some accessories. I then went back and fished some more. And again, I didn't find anything useful. But it was going to be a terrible night. The twins spawned, and I ran away screaming, hoping they would go away, just like I do with all my other problems. And now, with all the pent-up rage of having fought the Wall of Flesh a million times and a brand new mount, I was ready to fight the Queen Slime. After killing the Queen Slime, I got this cool mini Queen Slime mount, which was able to fly a little bit, but it wasn't great. Anyway, more importantly, I replaced the Flying Dutchman relic with the Queen Slime relic, and I had finally obtained the Blade Staff. This was my first decent hard mode weapon. It allowed me to summon these magical floating knives above my head, which was pretty cool. Even though the Blade Staff had a low base damage, it also had an extremely high attack speed, which meant that it still packed quite a punch, and it was going to be a very useful weapon for defeating the mech bosses. Next, I wanted to fight the destroyer, so I began leveling a mountain to make sure it didn't have as many blocks to burrow through. After flattening it completely, I was satisfied, and I built a crappy little temporary arena in the sky. I went to the jungle to get some honey, filled some honey pools, and went fishing again. But thankfully I was able to catch a variegated largefish. And I headed home and brewed a summoning potion. I then fished during a blood moon, hoping that I would find a dread nautilus, but I got this weird blood eel thing. And it was around this time that I learned a little bit about whip stacking, which is essentially where you use multiple whips at the same time to combine their effects and increase summoner damage. After practicing a little, I brewed some more potions and crafted another mechanical worm. And now, with my newfound whip stacking abilities and my blade staff, I summoned the Destroyer.